Well, South Africa's Electoral Commission says COVID-19 PPE spending is cutting into its budget. The IEC says this is affecting its ability to hold elections. The Commission gave an update on the state of readiness ahead of the by-elections on Wednesday. It will be the largest number of by-elections held in one single day since 1994, with over 440 candidates taking part. Govan Whittle's following the story for us. He joins us live. So, Govan, PPE funding is affecting the IEC's ability to hold elections. What's the solution then?
Well, more money, Shahan. That's the solution, and that's what the IEC needs. They're spending 3 million rand on PPE just for this Wednesday's election, and the entire election is costing about 10 million rand, so about 3 million of that is quite significant when you look at the money at the IEC's disposal, and considering that they have 130 million rand budget cut to contend with here. So in addition to having to set up voting stations that comply with COVID-19 protocols, the IEC also has to carry out voter education and deploy staff, extra staff to different locations, and all of this has to fit within the budget. So it's had a serious impact on the IEC's ability to hold the elections. I spoke to the CEO, Mr. Sai Mamabolo, this morning. Let's have a look at what he had to say.
Well, it is enough for purposes of this by-election, but of course the PPE costs had not been budgeted for when the MTF process was done a few years back. So it's going to be a cost that would have to be covered from within existing allocations. And we are really trying to get a balanced budget going, given the totality of the cuts that we announced today.
So what's the latest on the IEC's ability to get political party funding declarations?
The IEC does have the framework to get those declarations from political parties and donors, but the President has not signed the promulgation of the commencement for the Political Party Funding Act. So in essence, this means that the IEC is ready for these parties to declare where their money is coming from. It's ready for the donors who gave the money to the parties also to declare. It's set up its ICT systems, which will correlate these declarations and make it public as well. But at the moment, they're waiting for the President to get the ball rolling. This is interesting because we know the ANC also has some serious reservations about the Political Party Funding Act, and specifically around the 10,000 rand threshold for which declarations are required by the act, as well as some of the wording in the act which it believes is quite vague. So we won't know who is funding the candidates contesting Wednesday's by-election, and this is really important because we've seen the emergence of small parties contesting some of the more traditional parties, and without any clarity on who is funding some of these parties. But the IEC says everything is in place, and if the President signs the promulgation to enact or to get the act commenced, then they will have the necessary infrastructure in place to get those declarations before the 2021 local government elections.
And any word on the state of the voters' roll?
It's looking really good, Shahan. Up to 94% of the voters' roll now has the addresses of the voters, the people who are registered to vote. Unfortunately, though, the IEC believes that you just can't get a voters' roll that has 100% of the addresses of the people that will be voting, and that's because of the nature that South Africa's areas have where people live, and how it's difficult to sometimes pin down exactly where someone lives. But despite this voters' roll and the challenges with the PPE, the IEC believes that they are ready and well prepared for Wednesday's elections. Let's have a look at the CEO once again.
Although we've had dissolved councils in the past, we've not have had to do a by-election of this scale before. So it's unprecedented in terms of the scale and the depth and the number of voters affected. We do believe that it's a welcome test, though, because it gives us a dry run for next year's election, which will probably happen still under COVID-19 conditions. So the insights, the operational insights that we will gather in this by-election will be used for better planning in respect of next year's general elections.